The price of not knowing can cost you thousands of dollars as a first-time home buyer. Here are 7 mistakes that home buyers make when purchasing their first home. Let's get into it. Now, with that being said, the first thing that comes to mind when first-time home buyers make a mistake, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but that's not getting pre-approved. Oftentimes I have clients that will come to me and say, hey, I want to buy, a house and everything like that. But what they fail to do is actually talk to a lender first. So I always say it like this: lenders are pilots, we are co-pilots, that being a real estate agent. Wherever they say you can go, spend the money, how much, what type of loan and everything like that, I have to follow those parameters and guidelines to get you your dream home. Now, with that being said, even if you come to me, I have different lenders that I can send you to and get pre-approved or pre-qualified. There's a difference in that, but that's another video, just to go ahead and get that journey started. But sometimes I've had plenty of times to where people thought they would be approved for a home loan and then discover after talking to the lender, they have too much student loan debt, or they have car payments that knock down their purchasing power or something like that. So whenever you're starting to think about buying a home is actually the time that you really need to start talking to a lender and just make sure your ducks in a row. I can't tell you how many times people had sneak attacks of, wait, I gotta wait another 3 months, another 6 months, and they had no idea. So that's first and foremost. Now, the second thing is not working with a real estate agent. Now, I know there are some trashy real estate agents out there. Trust me, I work with some of them. But however, if you're a first-time home buyer, don't do this journey alone. It can be a lot, from title, from escrow, from inspections to the appraisal, to working with the lender. It's a lot, and it's a lot that you don't need to carry on your shoulder. And oftentimes a buyer's agent is very little money for you to use, or actually free 99. So to let somebody else carry the liability, carry the headache and everything like that, go ahead and just pick a real estate agent or a realtor to help you. Now, with that, do some vetting process. I'm always key about energy, education. You don't want someone that's got commission breath, that's just in it just to get the money and don't really care about your needs and your goals during the transaction. But you want to make sure you do this with the real estate agent, even if it's new construction, because the other side, the other agent represents the seller, the other side, new construction, represents the builder, and you just don't want to make any mistakes, or it can cost you money without having someone looking over some things. Let me just tell you that. And the third thing is failing to consider all the costs that it comes with buying a house or even home ownership. So even though, let's say you're using a VA loan and you don't have to put any money down, that is true, but there's still some aspects of the transaction that you're going to have to pay out of pocket for. So I always tell my clients that you need to, set aside at minimum $500 for the inspection. And then typically whatever the general inspector finds or doesn't find, I have my clients set aside more money. So if we need to call an additional plumber out, especially to get a sewer scope done, I always call the HVAC technicians to come and check out the AC units. Why? Because it's hot in Arizona, so we want to make sure that's up to par and running and good. Also like electrician, but it all kind of stands a point where the general inspection kind of tells me, and then you just need to pay more money for these people to come out. Now, of course, free bids are the best and ideal, but sometimes free bids don't make the time frame that you need to get that done. So you have to consider all the costs. Also, the appraisal costs money. So what does that mean? That could be anywhere from $600 to $700 that's coming out of your pocket. And then that is not part of the purchase price. That's just to get into the home. And of course, when it comes to home ownership altogether, like for instance, I just replaced my AC unit that cost me $8,000. That could be $8,000, $12,000. Replacing a roof can be $15,000 to like even $40,000, depending on what you got going on. Another one, a hot water heater. So being a homeowner comes with its perks and stuff like that. You can do whatever you want in your house and you own it, but there is some costs to the maintenance of it. So you want to make sure that you assess that properly, that you have enough money set aside for the maintenance of the house. Now, of course, there's home warranties you can get to help offset that. I'll probably do another video on home warranties and how to pick one, but home warranties like insurance. And I always tell people, even with insurance, they really don't want to pay you any money. So sometimes they'll try to find some loopholes, or they will constantly repair, replay, and repair until you have to replace it or they have to replace it. So just a little bit more of a heads up. So number 4, trying to skip the inspection. You better not do that. Now, I always say inspect what you expect. So if you expect that plumbing to work, you need to make sure it's inspected. If you expect the AC unit to work, you need to inspect it. If you expect the sewer lines to work, you need to inspect it. Never skip the inspection period. I remember when the market was going crazy around 2020 and everything like that, and people were just bypassing it, just taking whatever. I caution all my buyers not to do that. At least get it done so you know what you're getting into before you sign the dotted line, even if you're not going to hold the seller to the inspection or to make any repairs. Why? Because it can be costly. For instance, replacing sewer lines could be anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000 depending on what you got going on. Same thing with the AC unit. Like I just said, that can be $8,000, $12,000, $15,000. You don't want to walk into the house automatically with those repairs. And if you do walk into the house with those repairs, you want to make sure that purchase price reflects so to give you a little bit of a wedge so you can take care of those items. So never, ever skip the inspection period. Take your time, inspect what you expect. Now, here's the thing that I always give tips to my buyers when it comes to searching for a house in a neighborhood. That is, make sure you study and go to the neighborhood at different times of the day. Why? Because I always tell my clients, you can pick the house, but you can't pick your neighbors. So with that being said, when people are at home and stuff like that, you want to see who's in the neighborhood, what kind of neighbors. Are there a lot of loud parties? I mean, I've seen it to where there's been drug activities going on in some places you never expect. Now, with that being said, just because it might be a rougher neighborhood doesn't mean you have like bad neighbors. So my saying kind of goes like, you can be in a great neighborhood with the worst of neighbors, and you can be in a bad neighborhood with the best of neighbors. So you want to make sure that you drive at night, drive in the morning, drive on the weekend, and just look at the activity going on in the neighborhood. That can be costly once you move in and stuff like that. If you got an annoying neighbor, you're kind of stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck. So you don't want to do that. The 6th thing is letting your emotion get the best of you. Now, when I say that buying a house is like going to Disneyland, I tell my clients, sometimes we're getting on the Tower of Terror and it's hands up because something just kind of went whimsy. And other times, especially when we get to the end of the transaction, it's like it's a small world after all, especially when it's over. So like at a theme park, you got different rides and stuff. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows. Your lender's going to get on your nerves because they're going to be asking you for so many documents. The processor's going to get on your nerves because they're going to be asking for more bank statement, more pay stubs, just to double check. Title's going to be sending you documents to sign. I, as a real estate agent, will be sending documents for you to review and sign. So it might seem overwhelming and it might get a little frustrating, but the main thing is to stay focused on the price at the end. Once you get to the end, if you get your keys and you start moving into your house and get it set up the way you want, you're going to be like, it was so worth it and I would do it again. But sometimes during the process, you just want to quit and give up. So don't let your emotions take over. Stick with it and then let your real estate agent take your hand and guide you on through it. And then number 7, buying more home than what you need. My biggest thing, and I do this all the time, is to tell my clients, don't be house poor. I know we want the big house and the 5 bedrooms and I need 2 offices and stuff like that. Okay, I got it. But if it's not within your budget and if it's not within your price point, or if it's stretching you to the max of your budget, that's not smart. You don't want to be house poor because life can happen. Let's say you lose a job, so you lose a loved one, you get a job transfer, you're not making as much money anymore or something like that. You just want to give yourself some wiggle room. Now, with that being said, there might be some compromises that you need to make. So even with some of my clients, I tell them, especially when it's their first time home buyers, your first house is not going to be your dream house. I promise you, no matter what house you buy, there's going to be something you want to change. There's something that you're going to want to add. And then you'll say, when I get my next house, I'm going to make sure it has a 3-car garage, or I'm going to make sure it has gas, or I'm going to make sure it has a bathtub. But at the beginning, when you're first starting out, there's going to be some things you're going to have to compromise on. So don't buy more house than what you need. And it's okay if you're not getting your ideal dream home on your first house. You're going to have to make some compromise and get what you can afford that's within your budget, that makes you just pay the mortgage without thinking twice about it. So those are my 7 mistakes first-time homebuyers make when they start this process. If you want to learn more, go ahead, hit me up in the chat. And if you've already bought a home, let me know in the chat exactly what was the cost of the mistake that you made during the process, that now if you went to go buy another home, you wouldn't make that mistake, or something you might kind of regret, or even something that you were happy about when you bought your first home. So that's it. Until the next episode, peace out, Cub Scouts.